Alright, so this is the second part of outlining the world, history, and ongoings of the people of Timo. In the last video, I told you all about the evolutionary and pre-space age history of the world of Timo, how the preeminent species of this world went from being an animal, as the pari flumen, equal to the river, to a sentient species, the pari saltus, equal to the forest, that spread from its home biome to across the entire planet and eventually was unified by an aristocratic class that came from the seafaring thalassocratic nations and empires that originate from the two immense seas of Timo, the Upepelage and the Adumpelage. Also, how a group within this upper class, taking to certain new and advanced technologies, resolved to reinvent their species and society by eradicating all their fellows and controlling the evolutionary and genetic development of themselves as well as certain species that they uplifted to become a servant class. If you have not seen the prior video, I highly recommend, and the video link will be in the description. So, starting off, I wish to make it clear from the outset, the species of the current day spacefarers is the pari nemo, which I described in the last video. Equal to nobody is what the name means. Not the pari saltus, having genetically altered themselves as to be wholly unalike and incompatible with their ancestral kin and species. These pari nemo are categorized and separated by Aristogens, or otherwise families that share very particular physical traits having to do with the colors of certain body parts that distinguish each from one another. Now, I will describe to you the society/hierarchy of the current day world of the Aristo-Gens of Timo. Their society is built on two things. First, on the 5 sectors of the economy, and second, on applying a sort of natural hierarchy based in the food chain from the ecosystem in the regula from which their species is originally derived from. There are 3 strata born from economical power, and then subdivisions called color classes based on the physical characteristics that certain Aristogens have been able to achieve. The keyword being achieve. So, when imagining the society, it's not at all a stagnant situation where one is born to a certain post and place and is damned forever so. It is better to imagine this as a multitude of vying, multi-planet stretching family businesses, all vying through various means to gain more renown, control, and economic power. So, to explain the strata starting with the highest and then descending. First, the ultim. These are Aristogens that have acquisition control of the tertiary, quaternary, and quinary sectors of the economy, being the following in order from lowest to highest: services, information/tech services, and governance/philanthropy. The color classes of the ultim stratum from highest to lowest are the Azure Sang, blue bloods, the Ghoul's Egg, red eyes, and the Or Extremes, gold digits. The next class, or the next strata, is the Medulla. These are the Aristogens who have acquisition primary control over the secondary sector of the economy, which is manufacturing. The color classes from highest to lowest are the Tenetong, which are orange tongues, the Vert Palma, green palms, and the Purpura Solem, or the purple souls. And the last of all the groups is Humilis. These Aristogens have control over the primary sector of the economy, raw materials. The color classes from highest to lowest are the Argent Cest, silver or white chest, the Sable Bake, which is black backs, and the Murray Hide, maroon or brown skins. That outlined for you all, I'll describe to you now the second part of their society, which accounts for a majority of the population and social functionaries of the worlds of the Aristogens. As I said, it is based on the ecosystem and food chain from which the pari flumen are from. They are tiered, based primarily on whether they were given consciousness, then by the feeding habits, and lastly by the function they serve in their society. All of them are called the subleu. So, descending from the top, we begin with the omnivores, which are the only servants that have consciousness. Starting off, we have the wafer wolo, which their name means actively desire. And their purpose in society is intelligence gatherers and specialized workers. Next, we have the rectus duramanus, which means upright and hard-handed. Their purpose is enlisted soldiery, peacekeepers. Next, we have the rectus mollis manus, which is upright and soft-handed. Their purpose is as common workers. So now, descending from here, all these servants do not have consciousness. So, next we have the carnivores. We have the velox ad spicio, which their name means swift gaze, swift eye. And their purpose is to serve as messengers or CCTV. Next we have the corporosus vigilia, which means grossly vigil or obese watchers. And they serve as personal guards, construction, and pack animals. Next we have herbivores. And here we have 2 kinds. We have the campus artifex, which they serve as land clearers, and then we have the terra planitia, which is land levelers. So now, Moving on, we have producers. Here we only have one, which is a hybrid of minerals and plants that were found in the regula, and they serve as a controlled self-constructing mechanism so that the Timoans do not have to find supplies or use various resources in order to construct their buildings and their cities. So, this creature, or this thing, is called directio excrucito, or the directed constructor. So now, in the last section, we have decomposers, where they serve the same function, which is controlled cleaning. They clean all of the trash and get rid of or consume all of the trash in all of the worlds of the Aristogens. So first we have the unius munus, which means one function, and it is a type of fungus. Next, we have the mundus purus, which is a type of microorganism, and their name means world purifiers. That explained, we move now to describe a part of the culture of the Aristogens. So far, I've mentioned the use of genetic biological engineering in their society, which was referred to in Knopf as Pangan manipulation, but I haven't gone into depth. So, it all begins with the omphalos auto. An omphalos auto is the womb of an Aristogens, in essence, an advanced genetics multiplex that begets every succeeding generation of a gens. For these Timoan families, their particular omphalos is the ultimate source of pride, more so than any personal or historical achievement, since, in the pre-space age history, the spotless eradication, spearheaded by the founders of the past current-day families, wiped out what they considered hereafter incompatible pangans and achievements, creating a sharp rift between the past and the present, with a consensus amongst gens that in the wake of their reinvention, everything prior is nigh irrelevant or unimportant, and that only now, rendered perfect as they believe themselves, does any accomplishment of the Timoans matter whatsoever. The omphalos auto, being the source of their believed amelioration, is a source of prestige, and in truth, their birthplace and originator. Thus, these places are incredibly well guarded, with private armies and armadas constantly on the vigil, decked with every available means of defense, from the most advanced weaponry to the most sophisticated auto-defense security systems. Also, these complexes are constantly undergoing maintenance, though it is commonly found that the fact is often hidden simply to upkeep appearances. Because any mistake or any mistakes in a gens, or a malfunctioning, or worse still, the breaking of an omphalos auto is considered an utter disgrace and would ruin a gens for shame before it's subsequently completely eviscerated at the hands of all the other Aristogens. Keep in mind, an omphalos is used to improve and edit the species consistently and is put to work when a couple develops in the gens and decides to create their progeny. Therefore, if an omphalos is malfunctioning, they really see it as a threat to the entirety of their species and requires, well, that a failing gens be obliterated. However, when a couple develops, very often it is arranged or negotiated, and keep in mind, this is also a monosexual species, so emotional attraction is really the only thing that's going on here, because there is no sexual attraction in this species. And so, what they do is they take their blood and inserting it into the omphalos auto, they edit their pangans in order to attempt to create a better version of themselves, therefore improving their gens. Consequently, the rearing of progeny is not a task done by an individual or by a pair of individuals, it is rather a communal responsibility for the entire gens. Now, where the sense of supremacy and classism in Timoan society comes from is plainly the actual ability of the different gens to continue their improvement towards their sense of perfection, by first having the financial means to sustain and mechanically, technologically improve their omphalos auto, and secondly, the genius and ingenuity of their particular pangan scientists, otherwise called panganists, to alter, manipulate the pangans of their gens. However, upward mobility in Timoan society, I reiterate, is possible, although it comes down to a whole gens, with its members, everybody, to strive forward for their betterment. As well, of course, kinda requires the failure and faltering of another gens. The Aristogens fall and rise, but as been the case for many thousand fet, not much radically changes, other than the occasional gens superseding another gens among their physically defined class or in the sense of economic control and influence, with, on rare occasion, the destruction of a gens, or splitting up, also called shatter of one gens, thereby birthing another. So, to finish describing the Timoans, they are the elite of their world, basking in the paradise that they have created for themselves, with myriads of servants at their beck and call. More than that, they are a technologically advanced society with a heavy focus on biology, or in Knopf as it is called, life lore, or leaflar. They jealously guard the machines that beget their people, ergo their very civilization, and they have an aristocratic societal structure duly based in economy and ecosystem. An ecosystemic aristocracy, if you will. In conclusion, this is part 2. Hope you enjoyed it. See you all in the next one.